enjoyed the last episode. We talked about love languages. Now, you know, after that talk, we had a lot to discuss in the office. And one of the things that we decided we needed to follow up with is communication. Because we realized as we were talking about love languages between you and your partner, just all the misunderstandings, most of it too is communication. So we're continuing that conversation with Diane Kline again, one of my favorite people, one of the people I love to delve into personal issues with, and we're going to talk about communication.
Yes, between men and women, and especially in your partnerships, whether you're married or whatever, your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, yeah, because it's so critical. And when people get divorced, they'll often say, well, what was wrong? Oh, we couldn't communicate. Well, that's a huge umbrella, communication. How do we break it down, and what does it really mean? So my husband and I, by pure accident, ended up at this workshop recently. I thought it was a comedy show, and I said, let's get tickets to this. It sounds fun. I Googled the guy. And it turned out it was actually a workshop on communication between husbands and wives or partners. But it was the guy was very, very funny. His name is Mark Gergen, and I recommend everybody Google him and check him out because he's hysterical. But I want to explain how he started the show, okay? So that you can see where he was going.
So he's an author.
He's an author and he's a pastor also.
Oh, right.
Okay, so he has talked to many people whose marriages were on the rocks, and he really believes he can solve them. So he's great. So he brings up a husband and wife on stage, and they're facing the audience, okay? And he goes behind the man, and he goes, "This is a man's brain." He goes, "It's made up of little boxes. None of the boxes touch each other, and he can only open one box at a time. And the biggest box, if you open it up, what's in there? Nothing, because men love to think about nothing." And when their wives say, "What are you thinking about?" and they say, "Nothing," we're like, "No, well, you've got to be thinking about something." Yeah, I see it on your face. I think you're upset. No, they're thinking about nothing. He said that's why men like to fish. They just sit there and do nothing. Now, women, he goes around to the woman's brain, and he goes behind the woman, and he goes, "A woman's brain is like a ball of wire that's all mixed up and it's all a mess. It's all," and he goes, "and everything she has ever thought was connected to a feeling, and all of that is in her brain, and she never lets go of it, which is why she can remember every feeling she had since she was 2 years old, and it's going all the time. It never stops, even when she's sleeping. It never stops, never stops."
That is so true, to be honest, yeah.
Of course.
Especially if you're PMSing. I mean, it just goes crazy.
Then you have 2 balls of wire, exactly. But I thought that visual was so great. You know, the difference between these little boxes and then this ball of wire that's going constantly. And he said, and with men, they cannot take out 2 boxes at a time. So if you're talking to him about needing the dishwasher fixed, right? That's one box. That's the household gets fixed box. And if you change subjects and then you talk about where you're going to go for Christmas with a family, who's coming to whose house, he's completely exhausted and lost, and he can't follow you at all because he didn't put the first box away and then take out the next box. And I thought that was fascinating because women are the exact opposite. When you talk to your girlfriends, you probably cover 25 subjects in 1 minute.
Oh yeah, there are a lot of topics going on. And you know, you're absolutely right, because especially if your brain works really fast, if you're a little ADD like me, I say a whole bunch of stuff, and I can see my partner looking really overwhelmed.
Right,
and I'm
right.
thinking, what is so overwhelming?
Right.
You're gonna go get this from Home Depot, and while you're there, I need the screw that's in the bedroom or the handle that's falling off, so you just get that. And then just look at the cabinets. We're trying to remodel the bathroom. So while you're there, just look and send me some pictures. What's the big deal? It's all in one place.
And do you want meatloaf for dinner? And by the way, Susie needs a new bike for her birthday too.
Yes.
So yeah, exactly. So those are all separate boxes that don't touch. So this was fascinating about these boxes. And the other thing, he talked about a actual study that was done by a university about communication. And they took old yearbooks from high school, and they got pictures of people who had really big smiles, like genuine happy smiles. And they followed them. They found them and they followed them, and they found out the following thing. The people with the biggest, happiest smiles had been happy basically their whole life, and none of them had been divorced.
Really?
And what he was saying is that you decide how happy you're going to be. And when you're communicating, that's part of it, is are you coming from a place of happiness? Are you coming from a place of anger? Are you, like, just think about when you're relaxed and you have a conversation, even if it's about conflict, the conversation is so different than when you're very upset about it. And so giving yourself a little bit of time to calm down and get to a happy place. And I know that sounds almost an oxymoron. How can you have conflict and happiness at the same time? But I thought that was really interesting as well.
So what did you learn most? Because the thing about the box is really fascinating because we do it all the time. And you wonder why your partner wants to play golf all the time. He doesn't want to be home and get overwhelmed with all these things that have to happen.
Well, and think about it, when you're playing golf, what do you think? What are they? They're in their nothing box.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what we learned. We learned a lot, but one of the things we learned was to use the language he was talking about. So now when I want to start to talk to my husband about something, he'll go, I'm in my nothing box. And that tells me, A, let him be in his nothing box and come back to him later. Or I will say, can you change boxes for a moment? And he'll say, yeah, okay. Or no, come talk to me later. Or like when they're watching football or basketball or whatever sport it is, it's really their nothing box. So you don't bother them then. So that was something we learned.
That is crazy. I mean, I'm literally having aha moments because for me, when he's sitting there just staring at the TV, I'm going, what's wrong with him?
Right.
Because I'm used to him being animated the rest of the time. So I start saying, what's wrong? Or, are you okay? Are you okay? And that drives him crazy because I can't believe somebody can just sit there and say, nothing, I'm fine.
Yeah. And if he said, I'm in my nothing box, now that you kind of know that language, you could actually say, oh, I get it, I understand it. One of the other things that Mark Ergen talked about is the actual act of hearing, not listening as much as just hearing. And that we often talk, like he was talking about his wife, they're having a conversation and she leaves the room while they're talking. She goes upstairs to put laundry away. She's in the opposite end of the house and she's still talking to him. Or her head's in the dryer while she's taking clothes out and she's talking to him and he's hearing wah, 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 like from Charlie Brown, like the teacher from Charlie Brown or something. And he said, it's so important to literally, if you're going to talk, literally be looking at each, look at how we're looking at each other and really communicating because we're looking at each other's eyes and faces and what our mouths are saying. And my husband and I, since going to this workshop, we have actually, when we want to talk about anything simple, serious, whatever, we have to be in the same room and we have to be looking at each other.
That makes so much sense.
And
that makes so much sense.
It's a pain in the neck because I'm so used to talking as I'm doing 1,000 things in the house, and I have to say, no, go find him in the living room and sit next to him and talk to him.
I mean, literally, I'm washing dishes and I'm saying all this stuff, and he's back there going, okay, you're mumbling. I can't hear what you're saying. And I'm like, why are you being disrespectful? He said, I can't hear you. Because for him, it's an experience he gets all the time from you. You're doing something else and you're talking to him. He can't hear you. He can't see your face. So you're not communicating, you're just talking to yourself.
Exactly. And the other thing my husband said to me after the workshop when I was talking to him one morning, just going nonstop about whatever it was, he goes, I want you to know that what I'm thinking right now is I really want her to stop talking so I can go do nothing. And I wasn't offended by that. I'm like, okay, I get it. I talk too much. And that's the other thing Mark Ergen talked about. Women use like 100,000 words a day. I'm exaggerating, but a huge amount of words a day, and men use 4. You know that, and when we're talking, they just really want us to stop talking. So we've got to find a middle ground where we are using fewer words and talking less, but communicating more.
You know what my biggest issue is? I shut down.
Okay.
Communication. It's something that I'm working on. But when I feel like the other person is not hearing me, or when I have a lot of things going on in my head, I shut down. So how do you get out of it to communicate in a way where your partner doesn't feel rejected?
Yes.
Because when you shut down communication, there's a sense of rejection happening for him. And for me, it's like, I don't have anything positive to say right now, or I'm angry, and so I don't want to talk about this. Give me space. And then the other person just wants to get to the bottom of it so you can move on.
Because he feels so uncomfortable with the space.
Yes.
Well, I think one thing is actually saying, I need to take a 5-minute break, or but I want to come back and talk about this. And part of it is, since he's feeling rejected, if you say, I want to continue talking about this, but I need to take a little break. He knows you're not just going to walk away forever.
What was one of the things, because you are newly married,
yes,
but you've been together for a while.
Yes.
What was the thing that was hard to communicate between you?
I think the thing that is the hardest to communicate for me is when I'm feeling rejected. And because, of course, we're so vulnerable at that moment. So what
makes you feel rejected?
When I'm not listened to. That makes me feel rejected.
Okay.
When we can't come up with a solution to something and we just walk away from it. It's like, that makes me feel rejected. But mostly if I'm not understood. And I think that's the bottom line for all of us. We want to feel understood.
Yes.
But what I have started doing, and this actually works for me, I will actually say what I want Kit to say back to me.
Oh.
Like, for example, this just happened the other day. Something very exciting happened that I'd been hoping to happen, and I told him about it. He'd been out working. He was working out. He came home. I said, you're not going to believe my life changed since you left here an hour ago. He goes, what? And I told him what happened, and he goes, oh, that's good.
Yeah, so
this was earth-shattering for me. So, but what I said to him is, I feel rejected right now, because here's what I need you to say. Oh my God, that's amazing. You've been waiting for this to happen for 2 years.
Yes.
And it happened. I'm so happy for you. How are you feeling?
Oh,
I told him exactly what the words I needed him to use. And then he says those exact words. And then I can respond and I feel heard. But I used to get so angry that he wasn't saying what I needed him to say.
I am learning to not be thinking about a response to what he's saying.
Ah, okay.
Because I'm thinking about how I'm going to fire back. And it's been such a process to just calm down. Don't think about how you're going to react to what he's saying. Even if you feel that it's wrong, just hear it out and then speak. Because it prevents you from being so defensive.
Right,
and everybody starts going, no, but this, but that, you know.
I'm going to give you a little mnemonic device that I just learned recently. The word wait, okay? It means, why am I talking?
Really?
Isn't that great? I've been using it.
God.
And so when that's happening and you're beginning to feel that emotion, I say, wait, why am I talking? And it just stops me from talking and listening more. And it's fast and you can remember it. So that's a little trick.
Well, it's certainly fascinating how something as simple as communication can break a relationship down, can make partners leave the house and not want to come back because you're going to be talking the whole time, simply because you're not learning the communication skills that are effective for your relationship.
So just kind of some of the things we've already talked about. Talk less, listen more, wait, why am I talking, talk less, and call up a girlfriend so you can get all those words out to your girlfriends, you know,
yes.
and not about your husband, but just because we love to talk. We just love to talk. And that reminds me of the book, Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus. I always get those planets confused, which probably explains why I've been divorced twice. Yeah, because in that book, one of the big premises in that book is that men always want to solve things, and women just want to vent. And when we're upset about something, we really just want to get it out. And men want to say, well, why didn't you do this? Or why don't you do that? Or you know she's always like that. Or you know your boss is like that. And really, we feel better just when we get it off our chest. And in this seminar we took with Mark Gergen, they've done studies. If women don't get things off their chest, if they don't talk about it, they actually get sick. They've shown, they followed women for years to figure out that they will actually get physically ill. So you've got to get it out, but again, don't just be overwhelming to your spouse when you need to get things out. You know, pick and choose.
Like, give him time, understand that it's a process, and if you go back and watch our episode on love languages, it will help you iron out some of those communication things that are causing issues in your relationship. So I think the big thing is, no matter what, don't stop communicating. Because once you don't care and you're not talking and you're over it, it's done. There's no relationship there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Diane, thanks for coming.
Oh, my pleasure. I love being here.
Oh my God, I can't wait to talk about the next personal conversation we'll have. This was a
Very
great,
good.
great topic. See you next time.